doing? Merry Christmas! It is Christmas, December 25th. Merry Christmas, y'all. I hope that you're enjoying with your families. I hope that you are finding an opportunity to rest today. I know for many folks, this is a great, wonderful time of year. Merry Christmas. I know for some folks, it's really stressful. You got a lot of friends, you got a lot of family around. Um, but either way, I'm sending you well wishes. I'm sending you nothing but peace and love and joy during this holiday season. And I am live in a couple places right now. So if you don't catch me on the live, you can definitely catch the replay. I'll make sure that I upload the replay. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Fantetta Shatamsa, and I am a registered massage therapist. I'm also a comedic yoga teacher, and I'm a certified doula, certified Reiki practitioner, and a trauma-informed wellness consultant, as well as a business coach. So what brought me into this world? About 8 years ago, I studied a massage therapy program, health science program, and I fell in love with healing and wellness. I went through my own personal journey of, a dramatic weight loss, over 100 pounds. And I was a young mom, later in life gave birth to twins. And I was doing all the wellness stuff. I had all the science, I had all the knowledge, the education, the practice behind it. But I just found myself still repeating the same cycles over and over and over. And it wasn't until I actually turned inward and took that knowledge out of my head and began embodying it in my body that I really, really experienced true healing. And so this is what I do. This is what I help other women do, is to reclaim their health, reclaim their lives, start breaking these patterns, start breaking these cycles that we find ourselves in, whether it's around money or relationships, with our passions, our health. Whatever it is, we tend to, keep repeating the same cycles, repeating the same things, attracting the same things in human form, in energetic form, in money form. But a lot of it, when it's not things that we want to attract, it's because of our own internal beliefs, and it's because of our own unprocessed trauma. It's because of what our body is holding, because of what our mind is holding, the stories that we keep telling ourselves around shame, around value or lack thereof. And a lot of you are probably walking around like this right now and not even realizing it. We're like, I'm so confident. I have these things. And that was me. That's why I'm saying this, because it was me. I was like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. I've done all the things. I've, got the career. I've got the education. I was, I made a bunch of money. I lost it again, rebuilt again. And so I was like, you know what? I've got this thing all figured out. But when I realized that I had a limitation on myself, whenever I thought of the things that I actually desired in my life, whether it's around love or finances or health or opportunity, I felt a physical block against it. I felt like my body was literally resisting. And I was like, what is this resistance? I'm taking the courses, I'm, doing the things, I'm in the gym, I'm doing the mindset stuff, I'm reading all the books, and I'm consuming all the information. But the problem was that I was not embodying it, right? There were still stories that were stuck in my body that I had not moved past yet at that point. And that's why there was a block, and that's why there was a limit. And so what I help women do now is move past that head knowledge. So moving past the consumption of information and knowledge, and how do we actually move into this healing? How do we actually move into applying the practices? How do we actually move into embodiment? And so that's what we do. That's what we do, particularly in the Sacred Lotus Sanctuary. So in the sanctuary, that's where I share a lot of regulation videos, a lot of somatic healing videos, a lot of embodiment videos, so that you can get out of your head get out of that knowledge and actually begin processing the stuff, right? When we start feeling things, when we have reoccurring patterns in our lives, when we have reoccurring cycles, we have reoccurring pain in our body, whether, maybe it's your jaw clenching, maybe it's your shoulders tight, maybe it's your hips, decreased mobility. All of this is stories. All of this is stories that our body's telling us. And all of this is information that's coming back to us about what have we not actually processed? What have we not yet moved through? And so when we start working through those things physically, a lot of times through movement, working through specific areas of our body, working with specific emotions, going back into, our root traumas and our root pain, and removing that stuff, beginning to process it, right? Because of what we end up doing a lot of times, just sweeping it under the rug. And we're so good, particularly my high performing women, we are so good at moving on to the next thing. We're so good at accomplishing tasks. We're so good at taking care of everybody else. But what does it mean to actually turn around and pour that into ourselves? What does it mean to actually step into healing? What does it actually mean to step into the life that we want and the life that we deserve, right? How do we take all of this knowledge and actually apply it? How do we take it and process it and move it through and actually heal and regulate, right? Because we can learn so much and we can only take in so much before we get to a point where we have to actually start to apply it, right? We know stretching is good. We know that eating well is good. We know that sleeping well is good. We know that boundaries are good. We know all these things are good, but where's the accountability? Right? Like, when are we going to actually start moving through it? When are we going to start putting ourselves into situations that scare us, right? To actually help us expand, where we can put this knowledge and these tools into practice. What are we going to do when we get triggered, right? Are we going to just avoid the trigger? How do we actually work through what a trigger feels like? How do we work through some of the interpersonal challenges in relationships or in work? How do we work through our self-limiting beliefs around what we deserve and money and all of these things? So in the sanctuary, if you haven't yet joined, I highly, highly encourage you to join. I invite you in right now. You can go to the link in our bio. You can join the waitlist. Our sanctuary actually opens on January 7th. But we are doing a pre-opening, which will be in 2 days, on the 27th. We are opening up the sanctuary to a few of the first ones who've been on the wait list, and your experience in the sanctuary is going to be free. So as the founding members, you're going to come into the sanctuary. You can go through all of the videos. You can join the community, introduce yourself, connect with other women who are going through the same things, who are, high performing women, maybe moms, maybe, business owners, maybe career women, who are going through the same things and actually want to expand, actually want to finally release and let go of those old traumas and those old emotions and step into the life that we actually desire and deserve. So you can connect with these women. We have wellness experts in there. It's just a really beautiful place, literally a sanctuary, a soft place for you to land. So I invite you in. And if you have any questions, you can always DM me. But yeah, tonight I wanted to talk to you guys about how our bodies actually heal, right? At Sacred Lotus, we are all about showing you how to activate your body's natural ability to heal. So we have a beautiful ability. Our bodies were designed in such a beautiful way that it can actually heal itself, right? Cells can regenerate, new neural pathways can be formed. We can rehabilitate if nerve function or sensory or activations have been limited or reduced or decreased. Our body actually, through repetition and through intention and through practice, can actually heal and regenerate, right? So we have this beautiful ability, and I don't think this knowledge should be hoarded. I don't think this knowledge should be kept private. So I'm a big believer in empowering folks through education so that you can take the tools and you can take the practices and apply it into your own life. So you don't have to really depend on external practitioners or external information. Like, I want you to be fully equipped and fully empowered to take that education and apply it in your own life. And I know about somatic healing, but we have a beautiful network of experts in things like herbalism and nutrition, in mindfulness, in processing trauma, in fitness, mental health. So we have a wide range of experts that work with us that really help our audience heal and grow. So if you are interested in really learning about your body and how to work through things like, like maybe sports injury or menopause or perimenopause, weight situations, skin challenges, recovering from surgery, recovering from an injury. If you want to learn how to really activate your body's natural ability to heal, come into the sanctuary. Come into the sanctuary. I'm going to be sharing with you guys, and I'll be sharing with you guys on YouTube as well. So, the number one thing, right? How does our body heal? How does our body heal? We need to know how our body heals in order for us to actually heal and for our immune system and our, rehabilitative functions to be able to work properly. And so if we don't know how our body is meant to heal, then we're going to constantly be pushing and running to do the wrong things. And so to explain this, I want to first explain our nervous system, right? I want to explain that we have a central nervous system, right? This is responsible for all of our daily functions, our bowel movements, our digestion, our immune system, our respiratory system, our circulatory system, our musculoskeletal system. All of this is controlled by our nervous system. And we have two branches of this nervous system. One's called the parasympathetic nervous system. One's called the sympathetic nervous system. So both of them are actually needed. And I'm going to start with the sympathetic nervous system. So this is our fight or flight response, right? So sympathetic nervous system, this is when our heart rate is increased. This is when our blood pressure is increased. This is when we perceive a threat, right? And our body turns into fight or flight to protect us. And so it takes all of its energy and withdraws it from our regular day-to-day functions. So it withdraws the energy from things like digestion, from sleep, from respiratory, from circulatory, and it pulls it into things like, musculoskeletal activation. So your joints are wired, your muscles are wired, your brain is alert, right? So you're not really sleeping. It pulls out of digestion. So your digestion is not a priority at this point. If you're under a threat and you're in danger, things like sleep and digestion and cellular repair, cellular regeneration, immune function, these are not priorities for your nervous system. Your nervous system is just here to try to keep you safe. So in a fight or flight situation, all of your energy is being pushed into keeping you vigilant and keeping you on alert in case you have to run, in case you have to think critically. So cortisol levels are up, heart rate is up, circulation is up. And this is great for a short amount of time. This is literally a life-saving mechanism that's part of our body design. And it's necessary and great for a short period of time. But when it becomes a challenge is when we're constantly in a fight or flight state, right? And so this can happen from early childhood trauma. So when you have been traumatized at a very young, early age, whether it's, different types of abuse or like natural disasters or, financial situations or poverty, discrimination, any of those things, when they happen at a young age, particularly when your nervous system is forming, and it's a chronic trauma, and it's complex, your nervous system learns to be in fight or flight mode at all times. So it's just trying to keep you safe. So everything is a threat, right? You don't know who to trust. You don't know if there's going to be safety. All of your root principles around safety and security, grounding, that's all out the window. So you're just constantly activated, right? At a young age, this can happen. And when this becomes your normal, this becomes your default setting, right? So as you age, as you become a teenager and a young adult, everything is a threat. You don't know who to trust. You don't know, which decisions to make. You don't know how to trust yourself. Everything becomes a threat. And the nervous system, its job is to keep you safe. And so sometimes safety is what's familiar. So if it's used to constantly having to be vigilant and constantly having to keep you safe, that's the pattern that it's going to be set on. That's going to be your default. So anytime you meet somebody new, anytime a new opportunity comes to you, your nervous system is going to freak out. It's going to freak out and it's going to see it as a threat. And that's when we start getting into some self-sabotaging behaviors. No shame with that, by the way. Your nervous system is doing its job. It's really trying to keep you safe. And so, just a sidebar on that, in order to give our nervous system new experiences, we have to create, in order to shift our nervous system, we have to create new experiences. So what that means is that anytime there is a new threat, whether it's like a new relationship, a new job, a new opportunity to expand, we need to create a new experience in that. So that could look like, going to treat yourself to something good, or creating some sort of novelty, taking yourself out somewhere special. So you're associating this new experience with something good versus this new experience is a threat. So pairing that new experience with some novelty or something that makes you feel good or treats yourself well, that'll kind of shift your nervous system to be like, okay, this is safe. It's safe for me to be in this relationship. It's safe for me to take on new opportunities. It's safe for me to challenge myself. But that's a whole video for another day. But that is your nervous system. That's your sympathetic nervous system, right? And so the other nervous system that I talk about often is the parasympathetic nervous system. So this nervous system is our rest and digest mode. So this is when things slow down. So cortisol levels, when they're high in the fight or flight and the sympathetic nervous system response, in the parasympathetic nervous system response, cortisol levels are low. We start to release other hormones like oxytocin. So we're able to rest, we're able to heal, we're able to regenerate, we're able to bond with other people. We're able to feel safe, right? There's that feeling of safety that's there. And so not only do we feel safe, but our body, that energy that was once taken to activate our muscles, activate our joints, keep our heart racing, keep our thoughts racing, keep us vigilant, that energy is now being restored back to the body for healing. So our immune system begins to improve. Our respiratory system begins to improve. Our skin, our tissues, our muscles, everything now begins to rest. Our digestion improves because we're not just in survival mode anymore. We're beginning to enter rest and digest. We're beginning to enter rest mode. And so in this rest mode, that's when the healing begins. We're not in survival mode anymore. So the energy can now be used to heal cells, to fight off viruses, to recover from illness, to recover from injury. But it's only activated during rest. And so rest then becomes the number one way that we heal. Aside from any supplements, aside from any, tools or practices, these are all great ways to enhance your healing, but rest is the biological number one way to heal. So that's why when you're sick, when you're ill, they tell you to go lay down, right? They just tell you to rest, right? And it goes beyond just when we're sick. We need to be resting at night. We need to be resting throughout the day. We need to be fueling properly. a practice that I say sometimes, just in the middle of the day, pull yourself away from your screen, pull yourself away from your work. Go sit down, go lie down, go do something for 5 minutes, particularly if you've had a really stressful day, particularly if you have not been able to sleep through the night. Nighttime is supposed to be our natural rest and digest state, but a lot of us are under so much stress and experiencing so much chaos in our day-to-day lives. And let me tell you, we think that it's normal. A lot of us are walking around with daily headaches thinking that it's normal. A lot of us walking around with digestive issues, hip pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, clenching jaw, shoulders up to here, right? Just relax. Just relax. But most of us think that this is normal. We've been functioning in this state for so long. Again, no shame or blame. I just want us to be aware. But most of us have been functioning in fight or flight for so long that this has become our normal. We don't even realize and recognize that there is actually another option for us to be in, and that is the rest and digest state. So there are different ways for us to activate this rest or digest state. It can be anything. It's whatever works best for you. The best thing that I could say to folks is go lie down. Like, just go lie down. That's the simplest, cheapest thing that you can do. And then yes, you'll go lie down and your mind is constantly racing. But the thing is, again, your nervous system is meant to keep you safe, and what's safe is familiar. So if you're used to constantly being the responsible one, you're used to being the one on call, you feel like when you lay down, somebody's going to need you, something's going to happen, right? Like the kids might need you, your job might need you, something might burn down, you got to check an email, right? That is the telltale sign that your nervous system is just firing off, right? And that's okay. That's okay. Your body's going to experience so much resistance to this at the beginning. Your nervous system is going to experience so much resistance to this at the beginning because it's doing its job. It's designed to keep you safe. Lying down is an option. Meditation, breath work is an option. If you are a person who feels constantly head anxious, like your thoughts are always racing, you feel like you might be experiencing like anxiety or depression, breath work I find is the best option for something like that. If you're a physically anxious person in your body, like you just feel restless, you feel like your heart is racing all the time, movement is the best for that. You want to release that. You don't want to just sit with that high intensity feeling. So sometimes it's breath work, sometimes it's movement, sometimes it's journaling. There's a million different tools that you can use, but I want you to find a tool that works for you and dedicate 5 minutes to that. This is the number one thing that I recommend to my folks, to my ladies, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes in the middle of the day, 5 minutes, in the morning or at night, whenever you can find it. I want you to dedicate 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, to one of these regulation practices that you have. And just 5 minutes of bringing your body into rest and digest, you're telling your nervous system a new story. You're telling it that I am safe, right? I think my word for 2026 is going to be safe. I am safe. There's a lot of times when I'm driving down the road and I'll start thinking about maybe a responsibility that I have, and I'll start getting so anxious, or I start thinking about a conversation that I need to have, or an email that I need to send, or an outstanding task that I have, or thinking, about maybe a way somebody's thinking about me or how I'm being perceived in a certain light. And so my nervous system will just start firing off, right? I can feel the anxiety starting. I can, feel the thoughts racing. I can just feel the dysregulation of my body, right? And just that awareness at the beginning is so important. If you can just say to yourself, hey, I'm actually starting to spiral here, right? That's step number one. Step number two is to, this is what I do. I talk to myself in third person because I realize I'm not my thoughts, right? I am the spirit. I'm not even this body. I am a spirit and I'm separate from this body and from my thoughts. So I'll talk to myself in third person, like, fan, girl, like, you don't need to be tripping out right now. This is me talking to myself. You don't need to be freaking out right now. And I start to tell myself, you are safe. You are safe. And that's something that your nervous system needs to hear and needs to believe and understand. You are safe. That email, that conversation is not a big deal. You are safe. You are fully capable of sending that. You are fully capable of handling that, right? And when you've felt for so long, maybe growing up, maybe trauma, maybe things like that, that you're expressing your needs or expressing your boundaries is unsafe for you, right? There's usually a feedback or a backlash for that. Having those experiences as an adult becomes very triggering, very traumatizing. So we start to get a visceral response. Our mind starts racing, our heart starts racing, right? But, reminding yourself that I am safe. It's okay for me to hold this boundary. It's okay for me to have this conversation. It's okay for me to complete this task, right? You are safe doing these things. Just that reminder over and over is going to be really important. Because like I said, your body is going to resist you resting. It's absolutely going to resist you resting. Sorry. It's not used to it. It's not used to it. And you think you're resting, right? A lot of us, we'll be in the gym. We'll be doing yoga. This is me. I've done this so many times. I'll be doing breath work. And I think, because I know in my head the practices and what to do, I think that I'm resting, but I realize that it's not being embodied, right? I'm not actually truly feeling that rest, right? And so how do we get from that head knowledge into that embodiment? I want to tell you a story. You might know this story. There was a study that was done in the 60s, I believe. It was called the Learned Helplessness Study. And it's a study that I reference often. And so what they did is they took a group of dogs and they put them in a cage, and they anytime the dogs tried to escape, they would zap the dogs with an electrical current. Right? It's a horrible way to use animals, right? But anytime the dogs tried to escape, they would zap them with this electrical current. So the dogs, after a while, they stopped trying to escape. They're like, anytime we do this thing, something bad happens, right? So they stopped trying to find a way out. And eventually, the experimentists, the scientists, they stopped zapping the dogs, and they left the gate open for the dogs to try to let themselves out. But the dogs were so used to that trauma, that zap, that they stopped trying to go out, right? They stopped trying to go out. They brought new dogs in who, they weren't zapping, and the dogs would find their way out. They'd find the door, they'd find the opening, and they'd go out. But the dogs that were used to the trauma, they would still stay in there, right? So the scientists, what they had to do was they had to keep going in and pulling the dogs out one by one. And so they'd pull the dogs out, the dogs would run back in. They pull the dogs out, the dogs run back in. And that was because their nervous system taught them that this was safe. That going out here is not safe, right? That's a risk. Something bad's going to happen. But the scientists kept pulling them out. They'd run back in. Eventually, through repetition, through that, that experience of having a new experience. Actually, when I'm out here, I'm not getting zapped anymore. When I'm out here, yes, it happened before, but now I'm not getting zapped. Now it's safe for me to be here. So through that repetition, the dogs now felt comfortable enough to start coming out on their own, slowly but surely. Keep pulling themselves out. Through that repetition, their nervous system learned a new story. So this is a very important story because that's exactly how we operate as humans, right? We're going to experience so much resistance when we're used to things not working out our way, when we're used to trauma, when we're used to, just crisis after crisis after crisis, when we're used to having to be the responsible one, when we're used to not resting, we're used to the world being on our shoulders and having so much responsibility and not having that opportunity to really rest. That becomes our normal. So when we try to rest, right, we're like, oh no, something's going to come up. Oh no, something's going to interfere. Oh no, something's going to, there's going to be so much resistance to that. But you need to keep pulling yourself out and out and out, over and over and over. This is not something that is learned overnight. This is not something that is learned over a week. And there should be no shame associated with this, because it is natural for you to fall back into the same cycles. It is natural for you to fall off the bandwagon. Like, these are all normal responses. But the key to actually healing is that repetition. Keep pulling yourself out. Keep pulling yourself out. Keep going to lie down. Keep spending 5 minutes in your journal. Keep 5 minutes of that prayer. Keep doing it over and over and over and over again until you create that new neural pathway that shows you that, hey, this is safe. This is normal for me. Resting is normal for me, right? And your body begins to feel like, okay, now I know what it's like to be in a restful pattern. Now I know what it's like to be in a regular state of rest and digest. So now I'm able to heal. Now, one of my candle. Now my cells can begin to repair. Now my mind can begin to slow down. Now my blood pressure can start to decrease. Now my racing heart can start to slow down, right? It's through that repetition. And just starting really small, just starting with 5 minutes. 5 minutes, you can choose. You want that 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, 5 minutes in the middle of the day. I do all three. I wake up, the first thing I do is I grab my journal. It's right next to my bed. I grab that journal and I say, this is the type of day I want to have today, right? I am so grateful for the opportunities that are going to come today. I'm so grateful that my meeting with so-and-so is going to go well. I'm so grateful that, this deal is going to go through. I'm so grateful that all my interactions and all my communications are going to be wonderful, right? Everyone enjoys my presence. I'm so grateful for the blessings. I'm so grateful for the health. Even if I'm sick, even if I'm really not in the mood, I'm like, me and all the kids are going to get to school on time today. These are the things that first thing in the morning, 5 minutes, I start scripting, right? That sets my tone for the day. 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes. I'm a busy mom. I'm an entrepreneur. I work full time. I'm juggling all these projects. I have 3 kids. I don't have time for more than that. But that 5 minutes, it literally changes my brainwaves. It changes the frequency of which I'm operating in for the day, right? 5 minutes. In the middle of the day, what I do is I pull away from the computer, right? I either go lay down, put my phone away, my laptop away. I just lay down for 5 minutes. I breathe. I do my breath work, right? It depends on my mood. Sometimes I'll do breath work. Sometimes I'll go for a lap. I'll just go down the trail across the street from my house, and I'll do that for a little bit. And then 5 minutes at night, I always lay down, my journal right next to my bed. I go through my 5 wins of the day, right? Or 3 wins or 1 win, whatever. No, sorry, 3 wins for the day. And I talk about 3 things that went well so that I can go to bed feeling accomplished, feeling settled. I close any open loops. I close any of the tabs that are open in my brain and be like, we're done for the day. I'm pushing this to the next day so that I can get into that restful state without feeling like things are undone, right? So it's 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes. And that really helps to activate your rest and digest state before you go to bed, right when you start your day and in the middle of the day, maybe especially if you've had like a stressful interaction or a stressful meeting. Give yourself 5 minutes of regulation afterwards and before, right? So I hope that's helpful, right? The real way for us to heal is only through rest. And rest, you're going to feel a lot of resistance to it at first, but keep pulling yourself back. Keep pulling yourself back. Keep pulling yourself back. If you fall off, totally normal. No shame. Just keep pulling yourself back. Keep make that normal. And then soon, as a practice, your brain, your nervous system will start to see like, this is normal. Resting for me is normal. I can easily get to the rest and digest state. My body is healthy. My mind is healthy, right? And it's time for us to embody all of the knowledge that we have. So we know meditation works. We know that yoga works. We know that eating well and taking care of ourselves, like we know all of this that works. But pick 2 or 3 things that work best for you and start to apply it. We're moving out of the head knowledge and into the body. Start to apply it. Start doing the things that we know that we're supposed to be doing. Don't overwhelm yourself with 20, 30, 40 things. Pick 2 to 3 things. I like breath work. I like a walk in the middle of the day. I like journaling. Those are 3 things that I can use as part of my 5 minutes, right? Because you should care about your body. You should care about your health. You are designed in such a beautiful way, and you have a beautiful ability to heal. Your body was designed in such a beautiful way to heal. And through the videos that I share, I'm able to help you release some of the stress, release some of the trauma that's being held in your body through movement, through stretch, through breath work. And I get into the specifics of, which emotion, where is it stuck in the body, and what's the actual specific practice to help you process it. And so follow along, start doing these things with me together, and join the sanctuary. The sanctuary is where I really go deep. We work through specific triggers, specific life triggers, through the somatic healing, through live coaching, through movement, through breath, through tapping. There's a whole regulation library that helps us actually let go and release the things that are blocking us physically. Because in our head we know, but physically, that's where the holding happens. So I show us how to release it. So join the sanctuary. The link is in our bio. And I hope that you learned something from this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And I look forward to chatting with y'all soon. All right, take care. Bye.